Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Soul Food Coffee House and to Soul Food Poetry Night. Thank you for coming. We have two wonderful readers tonight, and we also have an open mic opportunity. If you'd like to sign up for that, we have a sign-up sheet up on the table here. I'm Michael Dillon Welch. I'm Poet Laureate of Redmond, and we've been running the Soul Food Poetry Night here for 9 years, which is amazing to me. 10 years will be starting this summer. To get us going, I thought I'd read a poem by Marsh Muirhead. It's called Releasing the Animals, the Anti-Haiku. I am releasing the animals from their 3 barred jails, the 17 shackles of their confinement, the prohibition keeping them from seasons not their own, setting the frogs free of the pond that plops in water, cicadas their summer slavery, walking sticks, herons, beetles, and geese free to travel any climate, any month, accepted in comparison, not a cutting word in sight. Crows allowed a wedding in the tropics, the cemetery vacant. Let the rabbit in winter reside in Palm Springs. Let them all be like something else, if they like. Let seem be the finale of any line. That is Marsh Muirhead's Releasing the Animals. The first of our 2 readers tonight is Anne Batchelor Hersey, and her poems have appeared in Cascadia Review, Poemelian, am I saying that right? Okay. Crab Creek Review, I'm probably saying that right. Floating Bridge Review, among other publications. Her poem, What Lay Open, was nominated by Penduline Press for the Best of the Net in 2012. She's taught creative writing for young writers with Powerful Schools and at the Richard Hugo House. She's a graduate of the Rainier Writing Workshop MFA at Pacific Lutheran University. And she has been awarded with residencies with Jack Straw, which is a wonderful club to be in, Hypatia in the Woods in Shelton, Washington. I've wanted to go there. Yes, I know. And Soapstone, a writing retreat for women in Oregon. Her first poetry collection is called A Certain Hold, and you have copies. So there's some available for purchase, and that was published by Finishing Line Press in 2014. So please welcome Anne.
He's much taller than me, but let's see. Can you hear? Well, oh, thank you. Michael and I have crossed paths many times, but once I did a poetry run around Green Lake, and I had his poem on my T-shirt. Remember, and I gave you that T-shirt. I did wash it, but anyway. A Certain Hold. The first poem I'm going to read is where the title comes from. Hold is a wonderful word. It's both a noun and a verb. And in this collection, it's what we hold in our hands, what we make, as well as what holds us, especially to a place. A Certain Hold comes from a diary entry by Virginia Woolf. In fact, it comes from her last diary entry before she committed suicide. However, it's a beautiful and somewhat funny but wise quote. And that's incorporated in the last 2 lines of this poem. Thinking about Virginia Woolf's diary, I understand her need for large post-quattro to practice writing, to do her scales, and work to certain effects. My notebook matches those dimensions, purchased off clearance, too large for any purse, held by double wire spiral binding, almost like the clips Virginia used before Leonard customized her diaries. I envy her journal. I want to hold its weight, flip its pages, view at least one of the colored, patterned Italian papers which the wolves used for binding books. I compare hers to mine with its vintage floral design in turquoise and brown, its brand name, Piccadilly, painted or printed in Chinese factories, hardly the Hogarth press. But none of that matters, Virginia would agree, as long as the spirit is free to write. I read through her diaries excerpted by Leonard after her death, the notes, and she notes, the diary writing has greatly helped my style, loosened the ligatures. 4 p.m., time to prepare dinner, and like Virginia, I stretch my legs, twist my attention toward the kitchen, pour one more cup of tea as I'd like to think Virginia did, as she jotted these lines on an empty stomach, her rations limited. Haddock and sausage meat. I think it is true that one gains a certain hold on sausage and haddock by writing it down. And so I'd like you to think, as I read through some of these poems, that I hope there's a hold about the lives described by me taking the time to write things down. Now, this one's also about another great mind. In fact, it's kind of my humorous poem. There aren't too many of them. But I was reading this essay by a writer, and he kept mentioning existentialists all over the place. And I kept thinking, but none of them are women. So this is kind of my feminist poem, and it's called Great Minds at Work. And you'll see me name-dropping existentialist philosophers. My first one by Soren Kierkegaard, Drink from Your Own Well. I drink from my own well, filled by last night's rain that a robin foretold. Would Kierkegaard postpone a thought, not yet drunk, to help his son with homework? At dusk, I listen, the message clear with clustered trills poured on dry ears. I imagine Nietzsche in frustration with a demanding child cry out, every word is a prejudice. At night, songs ripple sheets that dampen dark, soaking deep the soil and sky. I see Goethe fold 5 loads of laundry and then sigh. Man is a creature for a limited condition. At dawn, stillness is leafed with singing. Meanwhile, Emily's lamp burns bright as a loaded gun. In her father's house, she writes, today, I drink from my own well, while children sleep and clothes lay tucked in drawers. I swallow full each ladled swig. Believe it or not, I'm trying to be organized here. This poem was written in 2003 on the exact day today, March 19th. That was the day that George W. Bush announced that we would be at war with Iraq. But however, at that time, I took myself on a spiritual retreat at Manuka Retreat Center, which is right on the Columbia River on the Oregon side. So no telephones, no TVs, no radio, and I know that something is about to be announced, and I won't know it. So here I am in a very bucolic setting. And it's called While at Manuka Retreat Center, March 19th, 2003. Safe on cliffs, I hear the river rage, filled by last night's storm, a torrential roar, and know in deserts far from here a war is about to happen. Still, spring is staged. The center's gardeners plant 10 purple, gold-fringed faces into waiting flower pots, knuckles damp with prayer and compost, brought in plastic buckets. Indecipherable joy incubates in turquoise eggs. Robins bend to worms and seeds, while White trilliums bloom, newly washed by rain, while Johnny jump-ups arrive in flats. Morning illumines soft islands of heat that comfort garter snakes sleeping on paths. Now, jarred by my shadow, they twitch their red-striped heads, awake and flow in figure eights through grass, a quick escape. I can't escape my blackened views of war, how even here all harmonies deceived. Restless, I drive to Monotma Falls, believe in all that tumbles out to sea and scour its sloping trails in hope of answers to my coursing, saturated thoughts. My teenage son, how every war is fought by every nation's sons and daughters. What can one woman do? On my return, the gardener prunes the apple, espaliered into a living fence. I stop and pray, and then watch the equinoctial sunset burn. Thank you. The light here is not ideal, but I'm trying. And then a companion piece. I'm not sure if this is right, but I'd love to have a light right here, but that's okay. As long as I can do my best here. So I was going to read this one because it was inspired by a Busan haiku. And you'll recognize it. Night deepens, sleep in the villages, the sound of falling water. In Afghanistan. Afghan winters tug cold around each desert ridge. Even sheltered caves drain heat. Refugees wrap chadors tight, tuck infants closer to their breasts. Eyes exposed, they watch night deepen, spread blankets onto hardened earth. Stars distract. Drought steals life from thirsty lips. My child sleeps. I sip green tea, turn down the heat, imagine lives in caves where mothers teach girls to write in perfect Persian. I turn off lights and listen to water falling on my roof. Night deepens, me awake. As Afghan women dream of sleep, of quiet rain, of what's remaining of their village. Now that's really nice and bright. Okay. Now some of the poems I have traveled around the world. This one is both in India and where my great-grandmother was from. So, and I am wearing the scarf that it's talking about. Let me see, show and tell. This is a silk scarf that has been dyed. Actually, it's a kind of ink pen. It's called kalamkari technique. And the poem ends with what kalamkari means. It's also Persian. Another purchase at Folklife that I told my husband that since my birthday's June 6th, anything I like at Folklife, I can buy. Happy birthday. So afterwards, I'll let you touch the scarf. It's an amazing silk. Kalamkari scarf. 3,000 years wrap around my shoulders today. This scarf with painted peahen harems walking single file east and west from an open flower beneath a moonless night. Beaked profiles outlined in black, birds in beige and red, every tint a kalamkari color harvested from Indian soil. Chevron borders etched by tamarind charcoal sticks, frescoes drawn on finest silk, Mangalagiri, a weave so strong and tight it withstands goat dung bleaching, then rinsed again to soak in myrobalan seeds and milk. This sets the creamy background hue, cloth spread on riverbanks to dry. In different summers, my great-grandmother dried her, dried her clothes stretched across Collinsea's heather, while her men fished for salmon. I see her spinning wool, gazing out across the North Atlantic. She let mainland mills provide her clan McNeil's tartans. At night, she'd knit sweaters to keep Arctic air at bay. Indian silk, as foreign to her as to me. She'd laugh to know I bought a scarf for which she'd have no use. I tell her women painting silk with earthen dyes understand her woolen ways. I dry painted silk around my neck and hear whisperings of kalamkari, tones as lush as Hebridean hand-spun yarn. I understand one Persian word. Kalam means pen. Kari means work. Two more poems and a prop. I had never experimented with being someone else in a poem. I mean, I had been a creek and a stream, but I had never been a girl. Let's say a young teenage girl from Africa working at a training center so she can do something more than beg. I volunteer for a nonprofit called Fabric of Life Foundation, and they have a training center in Bamako, Mali, where they recruit girls and give them a stipend to live on for 18 weeks. And they get enough money to pay for food, they have to decide where they're going to live, but they can be at the center 6 days a week and learn how to budget and save money. And one of the things they learn is batiking in the traditional Malian way. And these are just 2 napkins of many. So Sanaba, who is the name of a real girl, she's going to tell her story of batik. And I start with a Malian proverb that says, "One finger can't pick up anything." Please, listen to my story. Many girls have touched this table napkin on your lap and turned plain yardage into bursts of color across many sun-filled days. First, we build tiny fires for melting wax in metal tubs, while other girls wash and spread the fabric flat. My job is to dip a hand-carved wooden stamp in wax and square by square lay perfect rows. The color underneath the wax resists and holds all we know of homelessness. Then, bearing down on heavy sticks, we drench it one more time and dye. When all is dry, we plunge the fabric into boiling water, dissolve the wax, revealing both our present and our past. I'm sorry. I keep losing my place. We gather around tubs of water, dip and lift our stories, twist the cloth and rinse again. We transform all our struggles into colors, not one the same as any other. Who can guess how many fingers held this cloth, now smoothed and folded on your lap? Now touch your lips to this batik. This was probably the very first applique made by Muzzy-Benny Maparanga through the Zimbabwe Artist Project. And I bought it shortly after 9/11, 2001, and then wrote this letter poem. It's the last poem in my collection, A Certain Hold. Letter to Muzzy-Benny Maparanga, Zimbabwe Artist Project, Weya, Zimbabwe, January 2002. Africa spreads halfway across my desk as I open the atlas to page 149. Under the lamp, I squint at the smallest print and scan for your village south of the Zambezi. Rivers stitched in blue flow through shiny paper into the sea. I find Harare where you purchase cloth and know my fingernail is an inch from where you live. I bought your applique of Tapiwa, a famous traditional healer, walking into the bush to collect healing herbs. Her hair wrapped in a turban, her blue-skinned wrists and ankles circled with beads. Dawn tinted by sadza batik. Fabric dipped in beige and green. Muzzy Benny, I stare at your face in a photo that came with your art and wonder, what healing does Tapiwa brew from thick green leaves and tiny yellow buds? Tell me, does her embroidered bag hold enough for all of us? Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Yes, it is bright up here. I hope you could see better when we turned it up, though. Thank you. Our next reader is Tina Schumann. She won the Stephen Dunn Poetry Prize for her manuscript As If, which she has copies of here, published by Split Oak Press. She received the American Poet Prize, and her work was named as a finalist in the National Poetry Series and the Terrain, I have it mistyped here, .org Poetry Contest. Tupelo Press listed her full manuscript as a remarkable work in their open reading period. She holds an MFA from Pacific Lutheran University and has received a Pushcart nomination. Her poems have appeared in such journals as American Poetry Journal, Ascent, Cimarron Review, Crab Creek Review, Midwest Quarterly, Parabola, Pomelian, Poetry International, San Pedro River Review, and the Yale Journal for Humanities and Medicine, all of which I'm jealous of. Please welcome Tina.
Okay, I'll do this. Here we go. Well, thanks for coming. And I think I'll start out with the soul food poem that Michael asked us to bring, because this poem deals with guilt, and actually it does make me feel good. This is called For I Have Sinned. It has been 500 days, countless meals, and many mountaintops since my last confession. I have lusted in my heart for the woman who sells me my morning coffee. It's just the way she stands sometimes, with her back to me and her waist turned just so. I'd like to take her cheek into the bed of my palm, tell her what a gift she is, she of the tender smile, she of the warm offering. I have coveted my neighbor's garden. I love it and I don't love it. The symmetry of it all, the telltale heap of compost that mocks me from the parking strip, every tuberose preening in the sun, the Gerber daisies bobbing on their brainless stems, and the way she idles at the edge of beds in her drab green Wellingtons, the serious planning of grace written all over her face. Gluttony can't be helped. We've been over this. We've covered my inability to just say no. Like when I packed my suitcases full of balsamico and grappa, what I didn't tell you is that for days before I had eaten truffles at every meal. I let their heady fungalness permeate. I let each white sliver melt on my tongue like the body of Christ. And there are hours of sloth, like baptisms of guilt. Submerge me, cover me, I say I am a sucker for the easy move, the natural incline, any tripping towards entropy. It's no use. I know what you'll prescribe. I found 9 rosaries in my mother's bedroom after she died. Look at her now. What a setup, this propensity towards failings. Lord, thy name is entrapment. Let's get on with it. For God's sake, bless me. This is the opening poem in the collection. It's called You Are Here. You are here, and the day is full of fallacy, pathetic and otherwise. and thus were my hours of magical thinking spent within a demarcation of days, and the cockatiel remained poised in her wire cage hung from the apricot tree, and inside the razors remained sharp, and the lilies did lie, and all was quiet except for the metal roof except for the rain as it hit the metal roof, and I did lose faith in myself, and was angry about that. And the curtains did hang and crease, and the jackets pegged on silver hooks waited to be put on, and the shoes were silent, and the walls did not move as I thought of my state, never to know who I was, only some vague inclination of personhood. Neither daughter nor wife nor friend nor sister, goodbye to all that, and the berries did droop under the weight of yesterday's rain. And the trousers hung on hangers, and the shirts held their form, and my breath rose and fell, and my fibula remained solid, blood warm and flowing, and my heart in its grave cavern kept up its rhythmic hum. I am this machine, a body, thou art always with me. Thy skin and thy cartilage, they comfort me. Even now in October, waiting for someone to choose me for the eternal game of dodgeball. A tip of the hat, a nod from the bartender, a wink from the waitress. O ego, how I do cleave to thee. Thy sermons and thy cravings, they comfort me, and I shall dwell in the maze forever. I guess that Catholic childhood really got to me. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Here's the title poem called As If, which someone just pointed out to me tonight is part of the 12-step program, and I had no idea, so I'm glad to know that. As if all maps did not lead here, and the roof of the neighbor's house were not telling you something slanted, sideways, a fall to come, the edge, the lip, a slipping down, as if this house were not your breath and pulse, its eaves and siding weighted to your skin, and the appliances did not watch with suspicion, opening and closing with you every day in the same T-shirt, the same instructions to the cats. As if you had a play to conclude, a comeuppance to render, an arrow to take. As if all your life you thought you were headed somewhere, and the wind outside did not admonish, battering the walls with its violent hoodoo, pushing you off sync, akimbo. As if the truth were not eating its sandwich beside you every day, and the voice from your head were not preferable to the voice from your throat. As if now were not the point, and you weren't missing it all in your absent-minded plotting. You have to wonder at all the things you do to say, this is mine. See, I mopped the floor, washed the pan, inspected the oven for flaws, and that man who walks through the door every day recognizes you from the day before. He says, hi, honey, as if he knew you. As it is, you make believe, as if this, as if that. Time will pass, and you will be left with words fluttering in the air, as if the night's corporeal box did not close and keep you still. Are we in autumn? Is that the season we're in right now? It's supposed to be winter? Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I'll read autumn. You know how the world comes at you like that? You're driving down some tree-lined street with Vivaldi or Corelli lilting their way from the radio, the sun casting prisms on the leaves easy in their fall. All questions have quieted. You are convinced that even the asphalt is happy to be what it is, solid, stoic, the backbone of a day. Up ahead, the next 3 lights are green. You are passing the schoolyard at St. Paul's, and all the kids in their blue and green uniforms are bright angels, bearers of light. There goes Stoneway Cleaners, where they are steaming and pressing just for you. The world is stuck on go. Proceed, avante. No one could imagine how enlightened you've become in the cabin of your car, on the rim of tears, with your velocity of awe, your clarity at the wheel, your rapid rolling towards some small truth. So it's not often that I get inspired to write a poem from something I read in the newspaper, but this one came out of it, and it was the section usually in the front that says international happenings, and so I'll read that part to you first. And this was out of Milan, Italy, from the Reuters News Service, 2002. It says, the remains of an Italian man who packed his bags 44 years ago and told friends he was leaving for America were found inside one of the walls of his former home. Inside a thick wall in the cellar was found human remains, 2 packed suitcases, a trowel, and other equipment to build a wall, a rusted rifle, and a bottle with a suicide note. The note, headed with the name Nemo Cianelli, explained that the man had discovered he had an incurable disease and had decided to kill himself. He said he had invented the tale of going to America to avoid upsetting his family. The poem's called Another Voyage. If death is a country, a new world of plaster and beams, then it is a land of anonymous travelers, its maps concise, legends full of stop signs and cellar doors. If, after long use, the body becomes a measurable object, a thing that must be concealed, then it is a vessel loaded for bear. Who knows what you'll need in that new Canaan? If we are anything, we are builders, forever calling in reinforcements, buttressing our way to safety. Fortification becomes our forte. If in the landscape called the end, we can look at those that remain, those still unconcerned with brackets and the bearing of weight, if we can look at them and lie like there's no tomorrow, then it can be said that the Hudson overflows with forgiveness, the ships never as buoyant with possibility. If with the final news we become more lucent than the living, more radiant and steady, then I'll welcome the foreman in me. I'll study the structure of houses, scaffolding, schematics, and footprints, the soft spread of mortar to brick, the architecture of forever. This poem starts out with a quote from Mark Doty. Several years ago, they had a series in Seattle, a reading series called If All of Seattle Read the Same Book. And Nancy Pearl, who was the city librarian, hosted these readings, and she was interviewing Mark Doty. And she had a question to Mark Doty, which was, what is your obsession? What is that one thing that keeps you writing poetry, that you feel like you just keep writing about, that obsession? And the opening line to this poem was his answer, and I about fell out of my chair. Vanishing point. How am I a self when I am constantly disappearing? A traveling venue of water and sinew, I am a story I made up in my head. Looks good in hats, won't eat oysters, fears infirmity. Touch me, I am fluid. In all my transparency, my body is betraying me just as the plot demanded. I would deny this distant progression of time and cells if the mirror were not such a talker. Kiss me, I am corruptible. So what are we made of? Stories. Just when you think you could not take another, here comes one more. You keep right on living, piling up your stories like cordwood, and the lying self keeps pace with daily duties, meals to prepare, pills to take. How could you carry on if you did not deny your vanishing point? Look at me. I won't last long. Talk amongst yourselves. Since we had autumn, I'll end on a random winter day. Random winter day. All afternoon we have been waiting for snow the weatherman promised at noon. Unreliable though he is, we plied the pantry with potatoes and bread, milk, and a chicken crouched in the freezer. Now there is time for reverie to take up larger swaths of the mind, time to survey the rooms, walk the floors, confuse memory with memento, artifact with fact. Like a portrait of some long-dead family uncovered in the attic, as silent as the grave, as unknowable as the remnants scattered in their wake. The man has perched a bowler on his knee. The rim of the woman's petticoat frames the buttons on a turned-out shoe. Here in suburbia, among the old houses made new, the mouth of every garage tight-lipped, and the amorphous whistle from the train tracks, the occasional car that guns it up the street. I've written this poem before, the little soul encapsulated in her little hut. I am learning to live with unstable elements, the ghostly motion of a garden swing, the distant whir of wheels and engines. Here in the pre-snow silence, there is time to let slip the juxtaposition of now and then, house and street, portrait and memory, nothing but time to wait for the texture of twilight to appear on the kitchen wall, a flutter of white to float across the face of a window. Now I will silence the radio, pull out the knife by its tail, and prepare to cleave flesh from bone, question from action, time from the stillness of relics. This poem's called The Other Life, and I think a lot of writers think about this, about just quitting and living the other life. It would be so easy to just stop. To get in my car every day, plan dinner on the drive-in, give my coworkers Christmas cards, and wait it out until retirement. When my husband and I will take to the road in our Winnebago, admire the natives of Vermont, read a few novels, and agree that the long years of work were all worth it. I could finally stop analyzing the soil, questioning the gods. I could cease with the nightly inquiries of body and soul, no more guilting myself into confession. I could just let it lie. Think about food instead, or shoes, maybe pay more attention to makeup. Really hit the gym and make something of this body instead of endlessly poking at it with a stick. It's part of the art, they say, to know when to fold, to call it a day. It's like the old Western movie scene. You're backed into the corner of some dusty Nevada saloon, your hands hovering over 6 shooters. The room has gone dead quiet. No one breathes. The sheriff's steady gun is pointed right between your eyes, and this is what he says. That's it. Real easy now. Put down the pen, back away from the paper, no one gets hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. A few announcements before we take a break. I have a flyer for the Poetry Coffee House that will be taking place at the Redmond Library in about a month, April 25. It's for adults and teens. There's food, prizes. It should be a fun event, so please check that out. Some other upcoming events here. When we meet next, it will be Poetry Month, so keep that in mind. And if you're familiar with the Writer's Digest Poem a Day Challenge, that starts April 1st. The idea is to write 1 poem a day, and there's usually a prompt provided. And I'm one of the judges for that for Writer's Digest this year. And the selections will appear in an anthology, which Writer's Digest will help to publish. Let's see. Coming up on March 27 is the next reading in the Redmond Association of Spoken Word over at the Old Redmond Schoolhouse Community Center, and that will feature James Bertolino and Anita K. Boyle. We usually have just one featured reader, but we're glad to have both of them there at RASP, so please come to that if you can. And I think I have one other thing to mention. Oh, yeah. Next month's reader here at Soul Food, next month our readers are Lucas Smeraldo and Elijah Mued. And Lucas, you may know, is, if you did not know, he's the poet laureate for Tacoma. So we're glad that he's making the trek up here for that reading. That's April 16, Lucas Smeraldo and Elijah Mued. So please come back for that. Bring your friends. And before we take a break, if you'd like to sign up for our open mic, we have a sign-up sheet right here. So please sign up if you'd like to read, especially if you're hesitating. Just sign up anyway. Before we head into our break, where you are encouraged to get something to eat and drink, I'd like to read you a thing of mine. I'll call it a thing. It's Basho updates his Facebook page. Monday. Took a walk around the pond today to enjoy the spring sunshine. Heard a frog jump in. Thought I'd write a poem about it. Tuesday. For centuries, poems about frogs have celebrated their croak. So writing about the sound of a frog jumping into the water seems pretty radical. Any of you homies think I should go for it anyway? Wednesday. Got the last 2 lines down of my new poem, Kawazu Tobukomu Mizu no Oto. But I'm stuck on the first line. Shoot me your suggestions if you've got any. Thursday. Settled on Furuikeya for my first line. Thanks, buddy, for the suggestion. You know who you are. Friday. Decided against the frog legs for dinner. Break time. Once again, thank you to Anne and Tina. We've had a nice, long, and relaxed break. It's nice to socialize. We do have a few readers, some that are on here, and a couple from behind the counter who aren't signed up, but may well read. But we'll start off with Bethany. And this is your first time reading, right? Welcome.
Thank you. Whoa. Thank you, Lika. Yes, thank you. This first one I wrote for my best friend from childhood. It's called Patchwork, and I write mostly really short poetry, so. I saw you sewing patches of skin to yourself. The stitches bled, the skin leathered, but you looked so proud. Now I will belong, you said, but you didn't. I saw past the false hide and the encrusted stitching. May I take one off? I asked. Carefully I cut the stitches and peeled back the leather. Your skin was soft and alive. Look how beautiful it is underneath, I said. Shall we remove more? This one I wrote last week. It's called Insecurity. I had a really rough year last year, and that's reflected in most of the poetry written recently. If I lie there naked, will you tell me I'm pretty? Can I ever be enough? Because my imperfections have swallowed the mirror, and my soul can feel every lump. If I converse well and impress you with words, will you be my friend? Because talking scares me, and I hear the replays of bumblings in my head. If I see things perfectly, like a philosopher, will you tell me I'm smart? Because the burning emotions burst through my seams to form puddles in the dark. If the whole world knew me, and my name made money, would you regret my broken heart? I am forged of blood and not of paper, and I may never find my start. And this last one is possibly the shortest poem I've ever written about my ex. It's called You. You were like crutches, always there to lean on when I could find you. You were like crutches that broke my legs to ensure job security. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm impressed by your words. Over the years, I've written a number of pieces called American Sentences, which was Allen Ginsberg's variation of the haiku. He paid no attention to the season words and other things, and just wanted 17 syllables in a single line. And these are a few. I've used them to record things that my wife has said. She's Japanese, so English is not her native language, and things my kids have said. My Japanese wife is tired and tells me that she wants to rest in peace. I'm exhausted, honey. I'm so tired I can't tolerate my exhaust. My wife tells me that there's a 70% chance of perception. Okay, maybe I need to lose weight. My wife just asked me my due date. Hiromi tells me that LASIK surgery has cured her stigmata. Hiromi says the parking lot signs watch for pediatricians. My wife says she always uses the department store's revolting door. I'm not a controlling wife, honey. I'm just telling you what to do. So her. My wife says interrupting cow jokes are so lame they need a wheelchair. Let me skip to some from my daughter, Sarah. Daddy, are you broken? Asks my 2-year-old. You're not? Good. Then you're fixed. We're going to Japan, Daddy, but don't worry, they have a toilet. I like Triceratops best, says Sarah, because it has my name in it. That's not right, Daddy. It's not called a killer whale. It's a sea panda. Not just Triceratops, Daddy. I like all the dinosaurs, like you. My daughter says the secret to hoppiness is to hop on one foot. Daddy, I hope it's warm out today because you're wearing short sleeve pants. Daddy, my daughter asks me, why would a barn swallow swallow a barn? Sarah tells me that Thomas just did something that was bad-appropriate. Sarah says that Sleeping Beauty woke up when she was kissed by Prince Harming. Skip to some things my son said. He's not quite as rich as a vein of inspiration, but he does have a few winners. I want my life to have purpose, but my son says it should have a dolphin. When I ask him where he had his bloody nose, Thomas says, in my nose. A real chat with my son. I'm tired. Are you sure? No, I'm not sure. I'm tired. Thomas tells me that he would really like to visit Antarctica. Thomas wants a brand new lunchbox. He says his old one is so preschool. And maybe I'll stop with this one. Thomas tells me that gravity means that everyone is attractive. Anyway. And for what it's worth, I have about 500 more of those. Yeah. And I decided to rank them so that I could get to the best ones first. Some of the less funny ones I've avoided. Anyway, it's now time for our next open mic reader. William? Where's William? I forgot to mention the question of the month, which was favorite campfire song, and Bethany's favorite song is Caroline. And William's favorite campfire song is Cowboys Monet, which he is now not going to perform for us.
How's it going? Wow, it's been a long time since I've been on the stage. All right, so I have one, then I'm going to perform another one by an artist. So this one I just kind of squeezed out. My passionate longing and love sickness increase. There is none to help me against the injuries of time. I watch the Pleiades in Arcturus when they rise, as though in the fervor of my love I worship them. I look for the morning star, and when it comes, I'm stirred by passion, and my adore grows. I swear that I've never changed your love for hate, and that I am a lover who is left without sleep. Matching the greatness of my hopes is my increasing weakness. You have gone, and I have small endurance and few helpers, but still I shall endure it until we are reunited, to the charging of my envious foes. Thank you. So the next one is by an artist by Scott Sturgeon. You might know him as a Stizza or just Sturge. But yeah, this one's called Clear Channel. The sovereign insincerities, the monotony of greed, Nickelback, POD, Rancid Britney and Creed, the bureaucrats, they leech upon the mediocre trend. Your song in heavy rotation from the cash your label spends. From the products that you promote to the ones that foot the bill. A prefabricated goose up is the pockets that you fill. The monotony a censored product shines in the display, and the same old song Compromise went platinum today. From town to town and state to state, that same old song you love to hate, the same shit stacked upon your plate, rotate again and syndicate. We've been waiting far too long to change the band, to change the song, through every day from dusk to dawn. We've been brainwashed to sing along. There's no difference between the hot new single, Pepsi ads, commercial jingle, the booty's withered, faded crinkle. Just sip the Coke and pop the Pringle. The boardroom is the dragon's lair. They play us crap because they don't care. The clearest channel plays unfair, and we all don't want you on the air. Overdose on shoddy culture, mediocre trends, auto-tune the bottom line as a means to meet the end. The merging corporate empires form the ill congregation and buy up to reprogram the major market radio stations. Fabricate one single voice, broadcast from sea to sea. What once held notions of change and choice is now being controlled fully. Regulations have been raised by exploitation's bar. Politics has been replaced by bling, clothes, and fancy cars. Mind please. Oh yeah. Trapped imaginations from the video's blinding light, bombarded with monotony that captivates the sight. And now, the channel that we've been tuned to is all frigid, blank, and clear, told what to eat and drink and buy, and whom to hate and fear, poisoned by the fairy tale, a capitalistic dream. So go to sleep, you're free and brave, and on the winning team. There you go, I'm gonna go buy some milk now.
Our next open mic reader is Aaron, whose favorite campfire song is Campfire Fellowship, which I don't know that I know. Anyway, please welcome Aaron.
Production on hold for a moment. Okay, so Campfire Fellowship was written by a dear friend of mine, Alex Rasmussen. He's a local musician. It's going to be one of those songs that in like 30 years is really famous, and I get to say, yeah, I knew that guy. Played djembe with him. Okay, so I literally, I guess for anyone that hasn't been here for Poetry Open Mic, I'm always here on Thursdays. And I figured, trying to be a musician, I might as well practice some poetry, because the two things go hand in hand. Musicians are just prose poets that don't like to admit it. Stay. And, all right, I'm just keeping it there. So I've taken it upon myself that as soon as this thing starts to try to write something, and I thought today was going to be a little busier, and so I figured I'm not going to write anything. And then Michael comes and tells me that 2 people signed up, and so I can't, there's got to be at least 3. I believe in threes, rule of threes. So I'm going to give this a shot. I've never done this before, drumming and singing, maybe singing. I just wrote this based on a series of conversations I had over the past 3 hours. I should have listened a long time ago to that voice that lives inside and wants me to know. Oh, I should have listened a long time ago to that voice deep inside that wants me to know that anything I do that comes from the heart is in fact a living work of art. Oh, I should have listened a long time ago. There's a rhythm that has risen from this life that I've been living. I can feel it rising up into this heart that I've been given. Oh, I should have listened a long time ago to that voice deep inside that wants me to know. And I should have listened a long time ago. Thanks, everybody. And just to fill time, I got one more poem that I like to read. This one's been heard before. I usually do it before a song I wrote, but I'm not going to play that song. It's really heavy. But the poem goes something like this. Wiser, 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 wiser. Wiser men than I have been heard to say that either God is dead or he's walking away. But whether wandering the ether... No, wait, sorry. Start over. Yes. Whether wandering the ether or floating down the river Styx, the truth of the matter is simply... No, that's backwards. Sorry, let me start over. Wiser men than I have been heard to say that either God is dead or he's walking away. But whether wandering the ether or floating down the river Styx, the truth of the matter is simply semantics. No, I missed a verse. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going to have to drop that one. But, Tyler, do you have a thing that you want to come up here and do? No. Yeah. I'm going to drop that one. I guess today's not the day for it. Yeah. Thank you, though. I think I'm going to bring Tyler up here. That counts as Campfire. Yeah.
So I'm going to hide the fact that I'm reading this off my cell phone by putting it on a music thing. Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm the other barista here. This is actually my first time up for the Poetry Open Mic, yeah. I've been trying to get the gumption to do this for like a minute. I think today's the day, so let's do it. This is a poem by a guy named Buddy Wakefield. He's a favorite of mine. It's called Hurling Crowbirds at Mocking Bars. If we were created in God's image, then when God was a child, he smushed fire ants with his fingertips and avoided tough questions. There are ways around being the go-to person, everybody, even for ourselves. Even when the answer is clear, like the holy water the Gentiles drank before they realized forgiveness is the release of all hope for a better past. I thought those were chime shells in your pocket, so I chucked a quarter at it, hoping to hear some part of you respond on a high note. You acted like I was hurling crowbirds at mocking bars and abandoned me for not making sense. Evidently, I don't experience things as rationally as you do. For example, I know mercy when I have enough money to change the jukebox over at J. Mike's. Somebody's got to change that shit. You know mercy when someone shoves a stick of morphine straight up into your heart. God damn it, woman, it felt amazing. The days you were happy to see me. So I smashed a beehive against the ocean to try to make our splash last longer. You remember all the honey? It made me look like a jellyfish ape. You walked off the water. Walked off the water in a porcupine of light, strands of gold drizzling out to the tips of your wasps. This is an apology letter to the both of us. I did not mean to make such a production of the emptiness between us. Playing tuba on the tombstone of a soprano to try to keep some dead singer's perspective alive. It's just, I could have swore you sung me a love song back there, and that you meant it. I guess some people just chew with their mouth open. So I eat earplugs alive with my throat, hoping to get lodged deep enough inside the empty spots that I wouldn't have to hear you leaving. Knock it off. So that I wouldn't have to listen to my heart keep saying, all my eggs were in a basket of red flags, and all my eyes tied to a bucket of blindfolds, hidden in the cupboard with the muzzles and the gauze. You know, I didn't mean to speed so far out and off trying to drive your nickels to the well when you were happy to let them wishes drop. But I still show up for gentleman practice, in the company of lead dancers, hoping their grace will get stuck in my shoes. Is that a handsome shadow on my breath, sweet woman? Or is it a cattle call to a school of fish? Still, dance with me. Less like a waltz for panic and more for the way we hope to swing. You remember that night we took off everything and we were swinging for the fences. I don't hold it against my love. You know, I want to breathe deeper than this. You know, I didn't mean to look so serious. I didn't mean to act like a filthy floor. I didn't mean to turn us both into a cutting board, but there were knives stuck in the words where I came from. Too much time in the back of my words. I pulled knives from my back and my words. I cut trombones from the moment you slipped away. And I know it left me looking like a knife fight, lady. Yeah, I know it left me feeling like a shotgun shell. You know I might want to find my breath, or how I might have gone and lost my breath, but I want to show you how I found my breath to death. It was buried in the wind instruments, hidden in your castanets. God damn. If you ever want to know how it felt when you left, if you ever want to step inside, just knock on the spot where I finally pressed stop, playing musical chairs with your exit signs. I'm going to show you a miracle when you see the way I kept God's image alive. Forgiveness is for anybody who wants a safe passage through my mind. If I really was created in God's image, then when God was a boy, he wanted to grow up to be a man, a good man. And when God was a man, a good man, he started telling the truth in order to get honest responses. He'd say, yeah, I know, I should have worn my cross, but I don't want to scare the Gentiles off. Stay.
Thank you all. I'll leave you all tonight with this final poem of mine. It's called Reading, Writhing, and Arithmetic. And it's for those of you who are thinking about doing some summer reading, since summer is almost upon us. Been thinking of catching up in my reading now as I lost my job again. Lady next door say I gotta read War and Peas, but I ain't digging no vegetables. And who the hell is Warren? Then she says maybe The Cat in the Hat is more my speed, but what kind of book is that? And what would she know about how quick I read? Somebody named Darwin wrote The Oranges and the Peaches, but I ain't into no fruits anyhow, and I ain't into none of them farm critters neither, so I ain't gonna read no Don Quixote. I heard folks say Catch One in the Eye is mighty fine, but I think I saw the movie over the fence at the drive-in, or maybe that was Great Fatsby or something. They say the books is always better than the movies, but I ain't never thunk that. I done heard some homebrew guy named Shakespeare wrote Omelette and All Swell That Ends Swell, but I bet me they're cookbooks or chick flicks or whatever they call them books. Tequila Mockingbird sounds like a hoot and a half, but who'd want to drink a damn bird? Saw a kid reading Harry Potty, but you ain't catching me reading no kitty book. Wonder if Lice in Wonderland would float my boat, but sure as hell it'll probably make me itch. Heard about the Da Vinci Code, but I don't get why it's got to have "the" in the title 2 friggin' times. People keep talking about Chuck Finn and Tom's Lawyer, too, but I ain't never seen 'em at Value Village. Me, I ain't your under-miseducated bozo, you know. Just yesterday, Sky asked me the square root of -1, and I tells him it ain't got no roots. Sure set him straight. It ain't even a damn plant. Maybe I'll read me The Greats of Math. So great at mathematics, maybe it's about yours truly. But nah, no summer reading for me. I gotta finish me my brews. I'd get me a book, but I already got one. Good night.
Can I plug this in? Cool. That's okay. Or I think it'll be loud enough. Hi, everyone. Tyler. That was awesome, by the way. So I kind of got bonked in the head yesterday, so I thought I'd do some vibrational poetry instead of spoken poetry, because so yeah, here goes something. It's also Bethany's birthday, by the way, so you should all say happy birthday to Bethany. I haven't played this in like a long time, sorry. And I just thought I would. I may die today. I may die today. I may die today. You may die today. I may die today. Come with me, all my friends, till the day's end. We'll all have an adventure